Picture this. You're standing in a frozen valley in Ice Age Europe, the wind cutting like knives across your face. Out of the mist, a figure appears. Broad chest, powerful arms, a heavy brow, and eyes that look startlingly familiar. He's not an ape, not a beast, but not quite us either. For over 300,000 years, these people Neanderthals thrived in a world far harsher than ours. And the truth is, they never really disappeared. They live on inside you, in your blood, in your very cells. Tonight, we'll uncover their real story, one that science has only recently begun to tell. Neanderthals, scientifically known as Homo neanderthalensis, were an extraordinary species that lived across Europe and parts of Western and Central Asia during the Middle to Late Pleistocene era. They thrived in some of the harshest conditions on Earth, disappearing around 40,000 years ago. Their discovery in the Neander Valley in Germany in 1856 marked a pivotal moment in science, sparking intense debates and research into their place within the human family tree. Far from being primitive, Neanderthals were a robust, highly adapted branch of our ancient family. They were perfectly suited to the cold, glacial climates of Eurasia, with their stocky bodies, powerful muscles, and large brains. Their bodies were designed for survival in an unforgiving environment, where survival depended on physical strength and social cooperation. Neanderthals were not only hunters, they were skilled toolmakers, using sophisticated weapons and fire to hunt large game like mammoths and rhinoceroses. They lived in tightly knit groups, and there is growing evidence that they had complex social structures and even engaged in symbolic thinking, such as creating art and performing burial rituals. This fascinating species was far more advanced than we once believed, demonstrating intelligence, adaptability, and resilience. Their legacy lives on in modern humans, as recent studies show that Neanderthal DNA is still present in our genomes, a testament to their lasting influence on human history. Modern science has completely redefined our understanding of human evolution. Instead of viewing our ancestry as a simple, linear progression, we now recognize it as a braided stream, interwoven, complex, and full of unexpected connections. Neanderthals, Denisovans, early Homo sapiens, and even mysterious ghost groups of early humans didn't just evolve independently. They interacted, mated, and shared genes, blending their strengths and traits in ways that shaped the course of history. This new perspective challenges the traditional tree of life, where each branch is a separate species. Instead, think of these groups as intertwining threads that, over time, passed along important genetic markers. The mixing of Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA with early Homo sapiens has had a lasting impact on our survival, from our immune resistance to adaptations that allowed us to thrive in varied climates. Traits like cold tolerance and immunity to certain diseases were inherited through this genetic exchange, contributing to the strength and resilience of modern humans. Today, thanks to genetic studies, we know that our ancestors didn't live in isolation, but instead formed a complex web of shared traits and interactions. The genetic legacy of these ancient species lives on in us, woven into our DNA. This deeper understanding of evolution reveals how connected we truly are to the diverse strands of our past, making our history far richer and more complex than we ever imagined. The divergence of human, Neanderthal, and Denisovan lineages has long intrigued scientists, and with the advent of ancient DNA and paleogenomics, we are finally uncovering the timeline of this evolutionary split. Studies suggest that over 800,000 years ago, the common ancestor of modern humans, Neanderthals, and Denisovans, walked the Earth. This ancestor is the point at which the genetic paths of these species first began to branch, leading to the distinct lineages we see today. Around 600,000 years ago, Neanderthals and Denisovans began to separate further, evolving into distinct species. Neanderthals adapted to the cold, harsh climates of Europe and Asia, developing powerful physiques suited for survival in glacial environments. Denisovans, on the other hand, lived in more isolated regions, particularly in Siberia and left behind less direct fossil evidence, but contributed significantly to the genetic makeup of some modern human populations, especially in East Asia and Oceania. These separations were gradual and were shaped by a combination of migration patterns, changing climates, and environmental pressures. Even though the genetic split occurred so long ago, the impact of these ancient species can still be seen in our genomes today. From immunity to environmental adaptations, their DNA has left its mark, influencing our resilience and survival. By studying these ancient splits, we gain a deeper understanding of our evolutionary past and the complex interconnections that shaped our existence today. These ancient lines, though separated by time, continue to influence us in ways that are still being uncovered. The true turning point in understanding our ancient ancestors came with the rise of paleogenomics, a field that uses DNA extracted from ancient remains to reveal the secrets of our past. This breakthrough began in the 1992, when scientists first focused on mitochondrial
We just found
DNA,
something incredible.
a type of genetic material passed down from mother to offspring. Mitochondrial
This
DNA
confirms
offered
our
a powerful
hypothesis.
tool for tracing the evolutionary paths of ancient human species, allowing us to better understand our relationship with species like Neanderthals and early Homo sapiens. One of the most significant figures in this revolution was Svante Pääbo, a Swedish researcher whose pioneering work at the Max Planck Institute fundamentally changed the way we view human evolution. Pääbo and his team were the first to successfully sequence Neanderthal mitochondrial DNA, providing vital insights into their genetic makeup and relationship with Homo sapiens. This led to a landmark achievement in 2010, when scientists successfully sequenced the complete Neanderthal genome. This discovery confirmed what many had long suspected: interbreeding occurred between Neanderthals and early humans, fundamentally altering our understanding of human history. Before this revelation, it was widely believed that Neanderthals were a separate,
This discovery
isolated species.
reshapes our understanding of
But the
human
sequencing
history,
of their genome
challenging
revealed a much
previous
more
notions
intricate
of
picture.
isolation.
Instead of being isolated, Neanderthals and Homo sapiens shared genes and interacted in profound ways. This opened up new questions about our evolutionary past, showing that human history is not a straight line but a complex network of interwoven species. The genetic overlap between Neanderthals and modern humans continues to shape our understanding of who we are and where we come from. Recent research has revealed significant insights into the interbreeding between Neanderthals and Homo sapiens, shedding light on a complex chapter of human evolution. Genetic studies now pinpoint key interbreeding events occurring between 50,500 and 43,500 years ago, with the most intense periods of interaction around 47,000 years ago. This time frame is crucial as it coincides with the migration of early Homo sapiens out of Africa and into Europe and Asia, where they encountered Neanderthals. These encounters weren't just brief moments in time, but involved prolonged periods of interaction and gene flow between the species. One of the most revealing discoveries comes from the remains of Oase-1, an early modern human found in Romania, dating back around 40,000 years. Genetic analysis of the remains showed that Oase-1 carried between 6 to 9% Neanderthal DNA, pointing to significant interbreeding between early Homo sapiens and Neanderthals. The presence of this Neanderthal genetic material suggests that Oase-1's ancestors had interacted with Neanderthals only 4 to 6 generations before, indicating that these species coexisted and shared genes for much longer than previously thought. These findings challenge earlier assumptions that Neanderthals were completely separate from our evolutionary line. Instead, they reveal that Neanderthals were integral to shaping modern human genetics. From immune system adaptations to other physical traits, the genetic legacy of Neanderthals continues to influence Homo sapiens to this day. This research paints a picture of a much more interconnected and complex evolutionary history than we had once imagined. The genetic legacy of Neanderthals is not a thing of the past. It's alive in us today. Modern humans, especially those outside of Africa, carry 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. While these percentages may seem small, they have a profound impact on our biology, influencing everything from physical traits to immune responses. These ancient genetic remnants, passed down through generations, have shaped much of our biological makeup. One of the most notable ways Neanderthal DNA affects us is through skin, hair, and immune responses. Neanderthals adapted to cold climates, and some of their genes contribute to our ability to withstand colder temperatures. This genetic inheritance has influenced the pigmentation of our skin and hair, especially in populations outside of Africa. Moreover, the Neanderthal contribution to the immune system has helped modern humans fend off various pathogens, but not without some consequences. Some inherited genes are linked to autoimmune diseases and allergies, highlighting the dual-edged nature of this genetic legacy. Neanderthal DNA also plays a significant role in metabolism, impacting how our bodies process fats and carbohydrates. This influence can be seen in modern health issues, such as metabolic disorders and conditions like diabetes. Interestingly, recent studies suggest that certain Neanderthal genes might even affect our body's response to COVID-19, influencing the severity of the illness in certain individuals. While Neanderthals have been extinct for tens of thousands of years, their genetic legacy continues to shape our health, appearance, and resilience, offering us a unique glimpse into the survival strategies of our ancient relatives. Neanderthals were powerful and highly adapted survivors, shaped by the extreme cold of the Ice Age. With a shorter, stockier build, they had massive chests and dense bones, which allowed them to conserve heat and endure the harsh environments of glacial Europe and Asia. This physical robustness was key to their survival in a world where temperatures often dropped below freezing. Their bodies were designed for strength and endurance, enabling them to thrive in the face of adversity. But their survival wasn't only about physical strength. Neanderthals were skilled toolmakers, crafting Mousterian tools, a sophisticated set of stone implements that helped them hunt large game such as mammoths, bison, and wild goats. These tools demonstrate not only their physical power, but also their intelligence and problem-solving abilities. Neanderthals knew how to use their surroundings to their advantage, relying on both strength and skill to bring down large animals for food and resources. In addition to hunting, Neanderthals showed a deep understanding of their environment. They gathered medicinal plants, likely using them to treat injuries and ailments. This knowledge of natural remedies would have been essential in a world with no modern medicine. Furthermore, evidence suggests that Neanderthals may have worn blankets or ponchos made from animal hides, which would have helped protect them from the frigid cold, making it easier for them to survive in such harsh conditions. Neanderthals were more than just primitive beings. They were resilient, resourceful, and innovative, living complex lives shaped by survival, intelligence, and a profound connection to their environment. When we think of Neanderthals, many still picture them as primitive, brutish figures. However, archaeological evidence has revealed that they were far more sophisticated than previously thought. Neanderthals engaged in symbolic behavior, creating bird claw ornaments that suggest they placed value on personal adornment. These objects likely held deeper meaning, possibly tied to identity, status, or spiritual significance, challenging the idea that they were simply concerned with survival. Neanderthals also collected crystals, a practice that points to an appreciation of beauty and possibly even early forms of spiritual thinking. Their interest in these non-functional objects demonstrates their cognitive capacity to engage in abstract thought, a trait typically associated with modern humans. Additionally, evidence of cave art and burial rituals suggests that Neanderthals had a sense of the symbolic, with some cave paintings dating back at least 65,000 years. This implies that they possessed not only artistic skills, but also a deeper understanding of life, death, and possibly the afterlife. Far from being savages, Neanderthals were thinkers and creators. Their symbolic behavior, artistic expression, and spiritual practices reveal that they shared many of the cognitive abilities we often associate with modern humans, making them a much more complex and advanced species than traditionally imagined. Neanderthal populations were small, isolated, and genetically fragile, making their survival increasingly difficult as time passed. These early humans lived in scattered groups, and the lack of genetic diversity due to their isolation led to inbreeding depression. This reduced their ability to adapt to environmental changes and increased their vulnerability to diseases and genetic disorders. Over generations, the effects of inbreeding gradually weakened their vitality and resilience, making them more susceptible to extinction. Neanderthals also experienced high trauma rates, with many fossilized remains showing signs of severe injuries. These injuries suggest that Neanderthals led dangerous lives, likely caused by hunting large animals or engaging in territorial disputes. The high frequency of these injuries indicates that survival was a constant struggle, and many individuals did not live beyond the age of 40. The early mortality rates, combined with the effects of inbreeding, further diminished their population, leaving them vulnerable to extinction. The low effective population size meant that Neanderthals had a limited gene pool, which reduced their ability to adapt to changing climates and shifting ecosystems. As environmental conditions fluctuated, their small groups struggled to evolve rapidly enough to survive. Over time, this genetic bottleneck contributed to their eventual decline and extinction, leaving behind only traces of their DNA in modern humans. The extinction of Neanderthals around 40,000 years ago was not a mysterious, singular event, but rather the culmination of multiple factors working together over time. One of the primary drivers was abrupt climate shifts during the late Pleistocene. The Earth's climate fluctuated dramatically, with cold glacial periods giving way to warmer interglacial phases. These shifts severely impacted the availability of prey and fragmented habitats, making it difficult for Neanderthals to maintain stable food sources. The changing climate made survival even more challenging, as the ecosystems they relied on began to collapse. At the same time, modern humans, Homo sapiens, began to migrate into regions once dominated by Neanderthals. Armed with more advanced tools and more intricate social networks, Homo sapiens outcompeted Neanderthals for resources. Their superior hunting techniques, more effective cooperation, and better adaptation to changing environments gave them a decisive advantage in the competition for survival. In addition to climate and competition, volcanic events could have played a role in the Neanderthals' decline. Massive volcanic eruptions during this period may have caused long-lasting environmental effects, including cooling temperatures and disruptions to ecosystems. Furthermore, pathogen exposure might have contributed to their downfall. As modern humans spread across the globe, they brought new diseases that Neanderthals had no immunity to, further weakening their population. These combined pressures, climate change, competition, natural disasters, and disease, created a perfect storm that ultimately led to the extinction of Neanderthals, leaving only traces of their genetic legacy in modern humans. As older men in the US, your story is not just one of personal experience, but also a deeply rooted connection to an ancient legacy. You carry fragments of a remarkable heritage, a kinship with the Neanderthals, who were true survival specialists in the most extreme environments. Neanderthals lived through brutal ice ages, battling harsh climates, scarce resources, and dangerous predators. They were not simply primitive, they were resilient, resourceful, and adaptive, qualities that allowed them to survive in conditions that would have been nearly impossible for other species. This ability to endure and adapt has been passed down to you, through the very genes that you carry today. The genetic legacy of Neanderthals is not just a relic of the past. It continues to shape you in ways that might surprise you. Their DNA influences your immune system, making you more resistant to certain illnesses. It has a role in your metabolism, affecting how your body processes food, stores fat, and responds to stress. These inherited traits can also affect your susceptibility to modern health risks, such as cardiovascular problems, autoimmune conditions, and even mental health challenges. In a sense, Neanderthals' genes have continued to help their descendants, including you, navigate the challenges of life today. Recognizing the Neanderthal legacy within you connects you to a broader human story, one of endurance, adaptability, and survival against the odds. These ancient ancestors didn't just shape our past, they influence who we are today. By acknowledging this, we honor their survival and understand our own resilience. The Neanderthal story is not just history, it is a part of you, shaping your health, your body, and your life in ways you may not even realize. At Prehistoric Shadows, We celebrate the Neanderthals not as failed offshoots of humanity, but as sibling species whose strengths and vulnerabilities reflect our own. Far from the brutish caricatures often painted in popular media, Neanderthals were deeply creative, incredibly brave, and highly adaptable to the harsh environments they inhabited. They survived through glacial periods and ever-changing climates, crafting tools, building social bonds, and thriving in ways that helped them endure. Yet, like us, they were not immune to the forces of change. Their eventual extinction was not due to a lack of strength, but because of fragmentation, small, isolated populations that couldn't keep pace with environmental shifts, competition, and the challenges of survival in a rapidly evolving world. Their legacy is not confined to dusty museum exhibits or fossilized remains. Neanderthals live on in your DNA, embedded in the very foundation of your biological makeup. Their genetic contributions continue to shape your resilience, your ability to adapt, and your survival in today's world. This connection is far more than just a scientific curiosity. It's a part of your identity, an echo of ancient ancestors who walked the earth long before us, yet whose influences persist in ways we are only beginning to understand. So there you have it, your Neanderthal story, now enriched and reframed in the light of modern science. If you're eager to unravel more myths, trace the origins of our shared genes, or explore the lives of ancient peoples who paved the way for us, subscribe to Prehistoric Shadows. We will continue to shine a light on the ancient shadows that still influence who we are today, offering new perspectives on our prehistoric past and how it continues to shape our future.